Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving into Peter Thiel's 0 to 1 today.
Oh yeah, a classic.
You've probably heard of Thiel, PayPal co-founder,
Right.
early investor in companies like Facebook and SpaceX.
Yeah, Facebook, SpaceX, Palantir, the list goes on.
So we're going to unpack his insights on,
Building the future, right?
building something truly new, not just the next Facebook, but like the next thing.
Exactly. It's not just about starting a business. It's about creating something that shifts the paradigm, something that goes from 0 to 1, not just copying what's already out there that's the one to N.
Right. And Thiel kicks off with this distinction, actually, between globalization and technology. He argues that while we tend to lump them together, they're actually very different modes of progress.
Yeah.
And it's something that I hadn't really thought about before.
Think of it this way. Globalization is like taking a successful recipe and just, replicating it. New kitchens around the world, different chefs maybe.
Okay.
But technology, that's about inventing a whole new dish, something no one's ever tasted before.
Okay, that makes sense. And he even maps this onto history.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah. From 1815 to 1914, you had both globalization and technology booming.
Okay.
Then post-World War I, technology takes center stage, right? Think about the rise of cars and airplanes. But after 1971, it's like we hit the gas on globalization, spreading existing ideas far and wide.
It makes you wonder where we are now, right? I mean, are we in an era of spreading what works, or are we due for a burst of, radical innovation?
That's a question worth pondering.
Definitely.
Now, here's where Thiel really throws a curveball. He actually argues in favor of monopolies.
Whoa, hold on.
I know.
That's counterintuitive.
We're conditioned to think competition is king, but stick with me here.
All right, I'm listening.
He's not talking about the kind of monopolies that just crush competition and stifle innovation.
Okay.
He's talking about companies that create something so new, so valuable, that they temporarily dominate their market because they're the only ones doing it.
So, think Google's early search engine.
Exactly.
Or Apple launching the iPhone.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like that saying, it's lonely at the top.
Right.
But in this case, it's because you've built something so innovative, no one else is even close.
It's that creative monopoly, right?
Yeah.
They're rewarded for the groundbreaking work. Take PayPal, something Thiel knows a thing or two about.
You did co-found it.
At one point, it was worth more than all the restaurants on Castro Street in California.
Wow.
Combined. Despite having a fraction of the employees. Why? Because they had this unique, almost magical solution to online payments. Nobody else could touch it.
So a creative monopoly isn't about exploiting an existing market.
No.
It's about inventing a whole new game.
Yeah, and everyone else is playing catch-up.
Okay, I'm starting to see his point. But what about competition? Isn't that supposed to be the engine of progress?
Well, Thiel would argue that often it's the opposite. He compares cutthroat competition to a Shakespearean tragedy where everyone is so busy fighting for scraps they miss the bigger picture.
He calls it the Gates and Schmidt scenario.
Right.
After the heads of Microsoft and Google, who were so busy duking it out in the 2000s that they both almost missed the smartphone revolution.
Totally.
While they were focused on each other, Apple swooped in and became the most valuable tech company for a while there. Have you ever been so locked in on a competitor that you missed a better opportunity?
Oh, yeah, for sure. You get tunnel vision.
That's the danger Thiel is talking about.
And it's not just tech. Think about the mobile credit card reader wars a few years back. Everyone copying each other's shapes, a square, a triangle, a cylinder. Was that real innovation or just a race to the bottom?
Right. Sometimes focusing on the wrong competition blinds you to the real game. Now, let's talk about another one of Thiel's big ideas. The power law. It's this fascinating concept that pops up everywhere.
Oh, the power law. Yeah, it can really change how you think about success.
It really can.
The basic idea is that in many areas of life, a small number of things are responsible for the vast majority of the results.
Okay.
Think about it. A handful of musicians sell most of the albums, right? A few blockbuster movies rake in the lion's share of ticket sales. It's not this, even distribution.
It's so true. And actually, Thiel saw this firsthand in the world of venture capital, right?
Yeah.
He talks about Founders Fund's 2005 portfolio, where their investment in Facebook ended up being worth more than all their other investments combined.
Classic example of the power law in action.
It's mind-blowing.
And you see this in your own life too, right? A handful of your friends you connect with most often, a few favorite authors you return to again and again.
Totally.
Recognizing this pattern, I think, can really help you focus your efforts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to be good at everything,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the key is to identify those areas where you can have an outsized impact.
Yeah.
Those power law activities where your efforts will have the biggest payoff.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about the future.
Okay.
Not in a, fortune-telling way,
Right.
but in how we approach it mentally. Thiel lays out these 4 different mindsets.
Okay.
And they're surprisingly relevant to how we make decisions, every day.
Interesting.
Imagine 4 possible futures. One where everything just collapses over and over again.
Okay.
One where we, hit a technological wall. We just can't invent anything new anymore.
Right.
One where our inventions, they end up, destroying us.
Oh, yeah.
And then one where we break through to a future that's better than we can even imagine right now. Which path feels the most real to you and how come?
Wow, that's a pretty intense thought experiment.
Yeah.
I think I lean towards that breakthrough future,
Okay.
even if it's a little scary.
Sure.
It feels more exciting than just hitting a wall or repeating the past.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what Thiel calls definite optimism, right? This belief that the future can be better if we actively make it so. Not just hoping for the best. You got to have a plan, put in the work.
Okay.
And he contrasts this with something that he sees a lot today. Indefinite optimism. This vague idea that things will just get better on their own.
Yeah, I see that.
You with me?
Yeah. So the difference between I don't know, just buying lottery tickets and actually building a business.
Yeah.
One is hoping for luck. The other one is creating your own future.
100%. But if building something new is so important, why don't more people do it?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's where the idea of secrets comes in. Thiel believes that behind every great business is a secret.
Okay.
Not like a conspiracy,
Right.
but a powerful truth that most people either haven't noticed or just don't believe.
It's like that old saying, the best place to hide something is in plain sight.
Oh, I like that.
It's not that the information isn't available, it's that people aren't seeing it the right way.
Exactly. 100%. Think about Andrew Wiles, the guy who finally solved Fermat's last theorem, this math problem that had stumped everyone for centuries.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
He did it by working on it for years in secret, convinced he was onto something that others had missed.
So you're saying that to build something truly new, you need that same kind of conviction,
I think so.
that belief in a secret that drives you to keep going, even when everyone else thinks you're crazy.
You got to be a little bit crazy, right? In the best way possible.
Yeah.
And, once you have that secret, the next step is finding the right people to share it with. Thiel compares building a founding team to, getting married.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It needs to be based on shared values, complementary skills, a deep understanding of each other's strengths and weaknesses. You're really in it together.
High stakes. He actually tells this story about the early PayPal team and how they were all obsessed with things like science fiction and digital currency and this idea of creating a whole new financial system.
Yeah.
It sounds like more than just a group of coworkers. It's like a band of rebels with a shared cause.
Totally. And that's the kind of shared purpose and vision that Thiel believes is essential for a successful startup. He even compares great startups to cults.
Oh, wow.
In the sense that they require that same level of dedication and belief in a shared mission.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Think about the early days of Apple or Google. Those weren't just companies. They were movements.
Right.
People believed they were changing the world. And that kind of energy, it's contagious.
Totally. And, Thiel argues that this intensity, this feeling that you're onto something big and important, is what allowed startups to, overcome obstacles, work tirelessly, and ultimately achieve extraordinary things.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But all the vision in the world won't get you anywhere if you can't actually get your product into people's hands.
Right.
And that's where sales come in. I know for a lot of us, sales feels like kind of a dirty word.
Yeah.
But Thiel argues that it's actually one of the most important aspects of building a successful business.
It's huge.
Really?
He actually debunks this myth of the product's so good, it sells itself.
Right.
In his view, distribution is key.
Okay.
Even if you have the best product in the world, if you can't figure out how to get it in front of customers, it's not going to succeed.
He tells this funny story about how PayPal once hired Scotty from Star Trek to be their spokesperson.
Oh, no way.
Thinking it would be a genius marketing move. Turns out even Scotty couldn't beam up enough customers.
You love to see it.
I know.
You got to have a plan.
It's a good reminder that marketing isn't about, like, gimmicks.
No.
It's about finding the most effective way to reach your target audience.
Yep.
And tell your story in a way that resonates.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about finding your secret, building your team, and even selling your product.
Right.
What about the actual process of building a company? Like, what are some of the pitfalls to avoid?
Well, Thiel uses the example of the clean tech bubble, which he witnessed firsthand
Right.
as like a cautionary tale.
Oh, okay.
He argues that a lot of those companies, despite operating in an important sector like renewable energy, they fail because they didn't ask themselves the right questions, early on.
He actually provides a list of 7 crucial questions, right?
Yeah, he does.
Things like, can you create breakthrough technology?
Important one.
Is now the right time to start your business?
Timing is everything.
Right. Do you have a way to not just create, but deliver your product? These are all, like, really fundamental questions.
Yeah,
But it's easy to, like, get caught up in the hype and forget to ask them.
totally. 100%.
And Thiel contrasts the clean tech companies that failed with Tesla, a company that, despite operating in the same, like, challenging space,
Right.
managed to get most of these questions right.
And how?
They focused on building a product that was not only environmentally friendly, but also just, like, technologically superior to anything else on the market.
Yeah,
And they understood the power of branding,
for sure.
of not just selling cars, but selling this vision of the future.
It's aspirational.
Totally.
It's not just a car, it's a statement.
Exactly. It's a great example of how, even in a tough market, companies that focus on the fundamentals,
Yep.
ask the right questions, and build a truly great product can still succeed.
It's a good recipe.
It is. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from globalization to monopolies, secrets to sales. But there's one more piece of the puzzle I want to unpack. This idea of the founder's paradox. It sounds kind of mysterious. What's that all about?
It's actually one of the most intriguing ideas in the book. Thiel argues that the very qualities that make someone a successful founder, their unique vision, their willingness to challenge the status quo, their almost like obsessive drive,
Right.
those can also be the things that make them seem a little different.
Okay, so it's like that saying, to be a genius, you have to be a little bit crazy.
Something like that. Thiel tells this great story about the early PayPal team.
Yeah.
And how many of them had these unusual backgrounds and interests. Some had built bombs in high school.
Wow.
Others were obsessed with cryonics.
Really?
They were brilliant,
Yeah.
but they were also a little out there.
So these quirks, these outside perspectives, they're not just personality traits. They're actually assets when it comes to innovation.
Exactly. Think about it. If you want to change the world, you have to see it differently than everyone else. You have to be willing to question assumptions, challenge conventions, embrace ideas that others might find strange or even radical. That's where the outsider perspective becomes so valuable.
Like they have this unique lens, this ability to see, like, opportunities where others just see obstacles.
Precisely. And the insider part of the paradox, that comes in when it's time to actually build and scale your company.
Right.
You need to be able to navigate the system, build relationships, raise capital, ultimately bring your vision to life within, the existing structures of power.
So it's this delicate dance
Yeah,
between challenging the status quo and working within it.
totally.
You need to be a bit of a rebel, but also a bit of a diplomat.
100%. And that's the founder's paradox right there in a nutshell. It's
Yeah.
about embracing those seemingly contradictory traits, those outsider perspectives and insider skills that allow you to see the world differently and then build something truly remarkable within it.
This has been so eye-opening. We've talked about globalization, monopolies, the power law, the importance of secrets, team, even the art of sales. What are some of the key takeaways you hope listeners walk away with today?
I think the biggest one is that building a company that truly makes a difference, that goes from 0 to 1, it requires a fundamental shift in mindset.
Okay.
It's about embracing definite optimism,
Yeah.
believing in the power of secrets,
Right.
and finding the courage to challenge conventional wisdom, not just following the crowd.
And it's about finding your tribe, too, those fellow conspirators who share your vision and are willing to go on that journey with you.
Yes. 100%. And never underestimate the importance of sales and distribution.
It's true.
Even the most groundbreaking product won't succeed if it can't reach its intended audience.
So much wisdom packed into one conversation. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.
My pleasure. Always a good time.
I think Thiel would be proud.
I hope so. It's always exciting to explore these ideas and see how they resonate with others. Hopefully, this conversation will spark some new ideas, challenge some old assumptions, and maybe even inspire a few listeners to go out and build something extraordinary.
Now, that's what I call a definite optimistic note to end on. To our listeners, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What secret do you believe in, and what will you create?